So you don't get to see the beach house. I got the fake background going, but I'm in a beach house, and it's awesome. And so far, I don't have a fever, but did get my immunity today. So 14 days from now, full immunity. I will be an unstoppable god of. I won't have COVID. Why be a game master? For me, it's telling the story that I want to be told. So here's an example. I read in second edition Ravenloft that the only way to leave the demi-plane of dread is if the powers that be that run the entire plane choose to let you go. Then I read, also in second edition, in Planescape setting, that there's this magical city called Sigil, the city of doors, that has a door to everywhere, a portal to anywhere you want to go. So as soon as I'm told that you can do anything in the game except this, my first thought is I want to see what happens when you do that exactly, because that sounds awesome. You play White Wolf, Vampire, or Werewolf, both of them. One of the first things you learn is you can't be a werewolf who gets embraced by a vampire and be a vampire werewolf. That is an abomination. To which I'm like, okay, who here doesn't want to play the abomination? I want to be the vampire werewolf. That sounds amazeballs. So what happens if someone finds the portal from Sigil to open a path to the demi-plane of dread without the remission of the mysterious powers that be and, opens it? What happens when the Juggernaut, the ultimate immovable object, gets punched by the Hulk, the guy with what appears to be unlimited strength? These are the questions that plague me, and these ideas stew in my brain. And this one, without being a game master, would have drowned in the undertow of me finding other interests. But instead, I got to run my campaign. My players were excited to see Planescape for the first time, which was 5e by this time. I didn't find my group just like that. I wish I had. But for you Ravenloft files, the game began, and yeah, take note, I said began inside of Ravenloft. These people were not brought into the demi-plane of dread by mysterious mist. They were natives. And for those of you who've never played, there's a whole long history there that I would love to discuss in some other video. For now, I digress. The game began in the Slavish woods, north of a small town called Valaki, at the Blue Water Inn. The request from Erwin Mardikoff, the barkeep, to check on Bluto, a local fisherman and tavern regular who was out fishing, but had been gone too long in this freezing weather. Now, as you near the shore, you all see the friendly fisherman. Bluto Krogarov is out on the lake in his rowboat, pushing a large object, the size and possibly shape of a person, into the water. The freezing air outside is crisp, and you know the experience of inhaling this air is just painfully chilling to your lungs. The winds are not blowing and the stars are not shining. The new fallen snow crunches loudly beneath your feet as you walk, and before you, at the foot of the mountain, nestled in the misty forest of the large lake, Zarovich. The water perfectly still and dark, reflecting the black clouds overhead like a monstrous mirror. Pulled up along the south shore are 3 small rowboats. The 4th boat you've already seen in the middle of the lake, with that lone figure sitting in it, the fishing pole in hand. For Bluto Krogarov has resumed fishing as if he didn't just dump something that looked suspiciously like a body into the lake. So I started my players with a simple task, check on a fisherman. They end up rescuing a young girl that is unconscious, level 1 PCs that they are. They can't wake her. They can, however, follow some NPC advice and get her to her family. They brought this Vistani girl, down to the old Zvalich roads to the village of Barovia, where a Vistani caravan had set up a carnival. A burly Vistani man thanks them and lets them participate in the games, and then an undead horde attack. The PCs fight and are eventually pushed back into a tent with an old fortune teller named Madame Eva who sent them somewhere. Before welcoming my party to Sigil, I let them know that this teleport was weird, for they traveled for a few moments floating in the ether, chased by a terrifying aberration, an ethereal marauder, to a second portal that opened elsewhere. Because they needed to know that the demi-plane of dread did not forgive this transgression of leaving without permission, and had cursed them. Now, everywhere they go, the dead rise as undead with the single-minded intention to slay the PCs, and any use of teleportation magic will twist through the ether, forcing them to swim through this weird space to complete the travel spell, while being hounded by savage ethereal creatures and more hungry undead. And the entire campaign becomes more them trying to gear up and get the experience they need to go back to the enemy plane of dread, fight the powers that be themselves just to cure this curse. And if you've ever played in Planescape, you know that teleport spells are extremely common. This hindrance, this curse, is a huge problem. So my campaign was grand in scope and focusing on characters born in Ravenloft's setting rather than having been drawn there. And I had players that had never experienced Planescape, and half of them hadn't played Ravenloft either, and I haven't memorized every fact about either campaign setting. And merging the two was a lot. I wanted to sell my players on this story. I wanted them to love these two settings just as much as I do, and that's a lot of anxiety. So how do we handle anxiety as game masters? And I say this because whenever anyone says, why would you want to run the game? It's because to me, the anxiety is the biggest hurdle. So I wrote out several lines of dialogue for game one. I read a lot of that to you already just now. I also included in my notes names of everyone in the Blue Water Inn, and I know who they were and why they were there. The snare that I put the players in was almost straight from the Curse of Strahd. The preparation helped a lot, but didn't cover everything. I had Erwin the Tavern Keep offer free drinks to accomplish a simple task to check on his friend out on the lake. I had 2 Barovian soldiers that were in the tavern drinking. One was one was older and higher ranked, and was hazing this new guy and make him buy the drinks for the both of them. Something that I thought was just like a slight amusement background thing. But I have one of my PCs immediately demand that these soldiers check on the missing bar patron. The ranking officer says, drunk not showing up to a bar to get more drunk ain't my concern. So this PC puts a crossbow to the man's head and screams, "You're bad at your job." I'm staring at my friend of over 2 decades and wondering if he's trying to sabotage my game on session 1. The guards are level 2 and 4 fighters and might be capable of defeating all 4 of the level 1 PCs and ending it. I allowed persuasion checks, and then the other players started all joining the conversation, trying to calm things down, and the guards let them off with a warning because I decided the only way forward was to have the guards decide that this bravado meant that these people were experienced badasses and that the conflict would not have gone their way. So the PCs went on to rescue the Vistani girl, take her to her people. They get sent to Sigil, discover their curse, have insane adventures that truly did test them. In fact, one of them dies in Sigil later in the first game. The player didn't see me as a killer DM. I think a part of it is that I didn't pack on combat every time they challenge me. In the real world, not everyone is ready to fight strangers when they don't know how it will work out. Keeping that in mind allows your players to do some stupid and hilarious things. However, when they face people that are ready for combat, they aren't staring at you like the adversary. They see you as the arbiter, the judge, the referee. You're not sitting behind your Game Master screen waiting to kill them. You're rooting for them for their adventures, and while also describing the obstacles they have to face to achieve their goals. My advice to all new Game Masters is this: we get to create amazing worlds and design crazy situations to put our players in with clever traps and colorful NPCs. But once we do that, we just enjoy watching them work their way out of these situations. If they succeed, that's great. Because Star Wars would have been lame if it had just been Han and Luke and Leia and Chewie all just dying in a trash compactor on the first level of the detention center at the beginning of the movie. That's it. That's my advice. That's my reason to run. It's all about the story. And I put my story together, then I get to see what the main characters do. And cooperative storytelling, to me, is far more interesting than even watching Star Wars or any other movie. And I hope that is some help to you all. And have fun gaming. May the Force be with you.